We go live here, and then there's a couple things I gotta switch over on Instagram. So yeah, bear with folks. We're gonna get started here in just a moment. I haven't done a live one of these in a minute. I totally forget.
Yeah.
But yeah, super stoked you guys could join me today. Oh yeah, here we go. Here we go. Here's how it's done. Let me pop over to Instagram, see if that worked. And then we'll get Tamara's about to join us here. We are live on YouTube. That's working. We're about to go live on Instagram. All right, there we are. We're officially live on both. All right. Welcome to the hottest part of the day podcast, episode number 10. Here with lovely Tamara Thorne, Heal Thyself Gardens, my lovely co-hostess and host of our upcoming special event on the 21st here, Equinox Regen Sesh and Seed Swap. Going to be joined today by some very special guests. I'm really stoked you guys could make some time to talk with us. Hopefully we got a few more coming in. But yeah, tonight we're going to be talking with some of our hash makers and hopefully our chef, Alex Sharma of the Ganjier, who are putting together this awesome 5-course hash pairing dinner coming up a week tomorrow on September 21st up here at our farm outside Middletown in Lake County at Thrive Homestead. Yeah, it's going to be a super good time. You can DM us for tickets. This is 5-course meal paired with 5 incredible courses of hashish, as well as a gift bag and camping and general admission to our incredible day. And that's a $300 ticket. And that's a great price for a pairing dinner like this. We've seen a lot of these meals and what they're supplying. And we feel this is a great time with some of the best hash makers in the world. We're really stoked you guys could join us tonight to talk about why we love you guys so much and we love your guys' hash and what makes it special. And yeah, we're joined by Uncle Todd, Resin Ranch Extraction. Everybody knows my old homie and old partner of mine. We spent a couple of years growing together up in Mendo, growing and hashing at the Mendo hideout. Some really good times. I learned a lot, probably more than Todd learned, apparently. And and joined by Lauren of Dream State Solventless, another new friend of ours. We met Lauren and her partner John this year up at 420 at the Skunk Train event up in Mendo. And we've been super impressed with your guys' hash and getting to know you guys. You guys have come and vended and sponsored a bunch of our regen sessions this summer. And yeah, just been super stoked to get to meet you guys. When we started putting this little hash dinner together, we said, oh, we got to include John and Lauren because we love their hash. We love the intention you guys put in behind it. We just like hanging out with you guys too. So
likewise, we're pumped about
That's
it.
always a good reason.
Yes, totally.
Yeah, if we invite you to one of these things, know that we actually like you and like hang out with you.
That's good to know. We love coming, so thanks for having us. It's such a good crew.
Absolutely. Lauren, we got to hang out with John this last weekend up in Humboldt, up at CannaFest.
Yes.
And you guys took home 3rd place in the rosin competition, of which I was the hash judge. I'm very happy to hear that you guys took home a win. I can't wait to see what the actual results were and the numbers, because I'm wondering where I ranked you guys, because it was a cool ranking system, picking your top choice, but there was also 3 categories of couch lock, party time, and I forget, the 3rd one might have been balanced high.
Balance, yep.
Yeah. Where you guys landed and tell us about that hash entry and that competition up at CannaFest.
Wow. Well, it was an unexpected placing. We're super honored. The flavor that we entered was actually a mixed wash. We were really slim pickings on flavor at this time of the year. Well, not so much now, but at the time of entry. So yeah, it was a mix of It was the Sunset Octane, Dirty Z, and Modified Lemon Head mix.
Oh,
So we were kind
Ooh.
of saying earlier, yeah, there's a lot of garlic terps in that, and it's funny, Joey, you've been kind of encouraging us to enter more into the competition realm, and I have been apprehensive because my menus had so much garlic terps, and I know that's a really controversial one to bring to a judging table, and I think I just psyched myself out, and not being like a really like like super competitive. I I just I don't know. We just never really thought that we were gonna place. We did it for the camaraderie and like to be involved and be able to attend and have our booth set up. And I was at home with the kids actually putting to bed, and I saw via Instagram that we had won the couch lot category. So all weekend I just assumed that was it. And I actually found out on Monday that
Fun.
we actually placed third. So it's been like we're so excited about it. It's like our first competition, and it's just such a huge honor to even be a part of such a monumental event, such an important event for Humboldt. Um, I just like can't emphasize enough like the difference between a cannabis event versus a EDM or just like standard alcohol centered party. The cannabis festival was just so chill. Everyone was so irie. So many different people from all over, different walks of life. Again, like just can't stress how much this plant brings like the best of humanity together. So yeah, it was all around amazing. We're like really riding the high from that. Um, and everybody it was just great. Thanks for your feedback. I want to know what it was as well, so I'll be excited to see what the results were.
That's really cool because I totally remember a garlicky one in there, and I was like, okay, this is the one I'm trying. And then I think I do remember trying one more that was so horrific I had to go grab my stuff and actually smoke it. But that was y'all's was really good. I can guarantee it was the one that I was like, yeah, this one because it was pretty and it was very like garlicky terps, and I love that.
Good to know. Yeah, I hopefully it was the same one. The actually the Sunset Octane, I have had people liken to the smell of burning electrical wires. So that gives you
Oh,
an idea. Like it's funk, but yeah, couch lock, that's been definitely my experience with that one. So I think we all can agree on that for sure.
that's a super fun category. Couch lock. I like
Yeah,
that.
yeah. I love the subcategories, and it's good to know. Those I feel like it's such an important question to ask people when they're consuming cannabis products. Like, what are you relieving? Why are you using this? Do you want to be on your couch for 3 hours? Do you want a balance?
Yeah,
Are
totally.
you looking? Yeah, so it's good to know the. It's totally good to know that. I love how you guys went about judging. Very cool.
yeah, it was a fun competition. There was about 10 entries. There was about 5 that really stood out. So we really had a tough time actually picking our winners and our top 3 from it. There was some weak garlic terps in there, I'll tell you that, but that clearly wasn't your entry. There was a couple really rank ones in there. I'm sure that was yours. Yeah, we love GMO. It
I
seems
do.
it seems to catch some heat in the competition world, but I think it's just because it's one of those kind of blue dreams of hash that
Yes.
it's hard to it's easy to look like you're a real amazing hashish, and when you nail that one competition wise, I think Todd wouldn't argue with that, especially when you get out into some other states and stuff. But we see so many bad versions of it that when you see a good one, it really stands out. And your guys,
That's what it is. Is it's got to be a good version. It's got to be good. Like it can't just be diet GMO.
No, and I can say actually the grower that we did not. This is not from our single source. The grower wants to remain anonymous, but he is one of the
Good for
OGs of regenerative farming here in the Mendo area. Um, I can't
Oh, I
say
know who it
which,
is
but
now.
his. Oh, say that again.
I said, "Oh, I know who it is now." Just
Yeah,
kidding.
I know, right? Take your pick of all of the, but he's been one of the driving forces of our whole business model. He's given us such a great portfolio of flavors that he's bred himself and also sourced over the years. And his cut of GMO is won a few awards. So that's all I'll say. I can't say which ones, but it's a good cut of GMO for sure.
That's cool. That's super rad.
Our favorite kind of growers, the anonymous kind.
Yeah. Yeah.
Ones.
I want to shout him out so bad, but yeah, he knows who he is. We love you.
Awesome. Well, thank you, Lauren. Thanks for joining us. We want to hear some more from you here shortly, but yeah, let's jump over to Uncle Todd. How you doing today, Todd?
What's up? I'm all right. I can't complain.
You're out there in your beautiful garden and look like you
Yeah.
really crushed it out there this year. I know every year is not without its learning experiences,
Looking good. Look
but
at
yeah,
that.
take us on a little tour, Todd. Show us what's been working for you over there, and what are those beautiful plants you got going on?
I give them water. That's what's working for me this year. Yeah, I was kind of complaining at the beginning of the season because we had a bunch of stuff try to flower like really early and just act weird and re-veg and all that fun stuff. But everything that I left in the ground that was being funny is pulled through and totally like acting normal now, and got pretty big, so no complaints at this point. The Skittles are all doing really good. They got huge. What's that? Oh, okay. So yeah, everything's doing good now. So I'm not gonna complain.
You're on the second year of that beautiful hugel over there. Are you on the third year now?
Third year.
Yeah.
And are you noticing that you're watering less, you're feeding less? Are you still dealing with soil pathogens? What are things getting a little easier on that spaceship you're flying there?
I can't really say I notice much of a difference. That's one of the things is these things are so deep that I'm not sure how far down these cannabis roots are actually getting, especially if they're not a seed plant, So I don't know if they're actually really tapping into that, because these things are like 5 feet deep.
Yeah.
So I can't really say. I mean, I don't use a ton of water. I feel like, it's Nevada County, so it's dry. It's like 12% humidity here usually in the summer and, 100 degrees. So I definitely use way less water than I think most people do. So that's definitely, I mean, let me see. Let me do the math. So this 60-foot bed that's 6 feet wide gets about, I think when I did the math, it was just under 170 gallons when I water it per trip. So, I mean, that's not that bad, right?
That's really good.
Yeah.
And I could get away. I could probably, like this time of year, I could probably back off to like every third day watering.
Wow.
Yeah, that's great.
Where these pots, these 65-gallon pots, the Skittles, I got to water those twice a day.
Wow. Yeah, of course.
Like I'm just starting to be able to back off because the temperature's dropped a lot, but because they're above ground, I got to water those twice a day, and it's pretty annoying.
Todd, we've been hearing of lots of crazy pests this year, from grasshoppers to bugs I've never even seen before. Are you dealing with any different pest pressures out there, or what?
Well, we just had russet mites pop up, so and I was waiting for it. This plant over here that I pulled out the other day, we just cut it out. Nothing else has any. Everything else is fine so far, and I caught it really early. But this plant has just like never been happy. I just think it's too much of a long leaf variety, and it's just too humid or too dry here for it. It wants it to be more humid, So it just kind of always struggled a little bit, and I've just been like waiting for it to have a pest problem because that's always the ones they go for,
Yeah.
And sure enough, found russet mites on it the other day.
Yeah, Todd, we dealt with a little russet mites this year as well. Also getting clones at the markets this summer, and must have got a dirty batch from somebody, and I lost all the little clones that I'd taken in to do some breeding with this fall, including all the ones I got from you, the sours. Everything's
Damn.
dead. I had same thing, ripped them out of the garden before it can spread to the seed plants. And
Yeah, exactly. And
let's
that's, you
talk.
know, that's what I learned is if you can, you know, you catch it early, you're going to pretty much catch it on one plant and just cut it out, man. It's not worth, it's just not worth it.
It's not
Plus
worth
it
it.
was like super
Yeah.
like leafy, bushy, kind of like this plant. So it would be super even bushier than this thing. So super like impossible to get full coverage on it too. So it just was going to be a losing battle. I
Todd,
think.
we had russet mites, you and I, back in 2016 at the Mendo Hideout. We battled it really bad. We lost about a third of our crop that year. Talk a little bit about that experience. That was the first time you and I had seen them. They were kind of in the Emerald Triangle for the first year or so, right around then. We were able to beat them back, but it was expensive. It was ugly. It was a lot of work. And then they took our trophies away. But tell that story, Todd. It's a little bit of a
Yeah, but yeah, I heard that we actually tested under the threshold numbers, so that the parts per million was low enough. But whatever, don't care. Uh, yeah, I mean that was not fun. You know, I was kind of so new to California and the whole like big outdoor thing. Coming from Wisconsin, dude, we don't deal with those. We didn't deal with those pests. You know, I was a small basement grower, so it was like IPM. What's that? You know, and we didn't even know necessarily what we were looking at for a few days there. And then I remember you being like, "Oh, I've heard of this russet mite or whatever it is that is totally like taking people's entire crops out." And then we figured out what it was, and yeah, we beat them back. Cut, yeah, what, like most of the lower garden out, and then a bunch of plants up in the upper garden, and we had some of them stripped like up to just the top colas, like nothing left except for like the top foot or two of the plant, which we should have just cut those out, you know, knowing what I know now, but is what it is. And yeah, I sprayed, what did we do? I think we did Pyganic and Dr. Zymes on rotation. So we do Pyganic one day and then Dr. Zymes another day. And I couldn't do the whole garden in one day. So I had to get up in the morning as early as I could, drag my ass out of bed because I suck at that in the morning, and spray, you know, until the sun came up. And then I'd have to spray in the afternoon, in the evening, till 9 o'clock. And I did that every day for like a month and a half. Like, it was ridiculous. I don't know how much we spent on Dr. Zymes and Pyganic. You'd be the one that would know the bill on that, but that shit was ridiculous, dude. Like,
it was expensive at the time. You know,
it was
very expensive.
just insane. You know, I could do half the garden at a time, basically. So it's like I'd have to do half in the morning and half in the evening.
And we only had a quarter acre. We only had 10,000 square feet or so, but we had decent sized plants. We didn't even have a full size crop that year. We had a bunch of smaller plants. Yeah, it was a bad deal. It was a bad deal. But yeah, beat them back with that pyrethrum, that Pyganic, and the Dr. Zyme seemed to kind of help them heal a little bit during that rough, heavy spraying.
Yeah, I think it was, you know, washing some of that oil off. You know, now that I think about it, like that Dr. Zymes, you know, otherwise they would have just suffocated. I mean, you know, so much oil on them. But yeah, you know, that's when that's when I learned about russet mites, and now I've kind of got the eagle eye for them, so like I can spot them really pretty early. And I just like randomly scope throughout, you know, the year at least once a week, you know, and I think that helps because if you got to catch them early, because if you don't, then you're screwed. And they always seem to show up like now, you know, a couple when you're like 3-4 weeks into flower is when they always show up, at least here in Nevada County, I feel like. So the timing is always the worst. So you got to do what you got to do, you know.
Lauren, John told me that you guys have dealt with some russets as well up there in Willits. Tell
I
us
was just,
what your
yeah.
dealt with. Yeah.
Well, our experience with russet mites was in an indoor room. Actually, we had a room and a warehouse, and it was kind of a terminal situation. With indoor, it's really different. You know, they are so much more brilliant, and they get into everything, like even little cracks in the room or the Tyvek liners, if you have them in your, you know, in your space or your pots, your soil, everything. So yeah, we had to clear out the room and literally shut it down. I do. I've heard that in the outdoor terrain, they're a lot more manageable, and I'm really curious to ask you guys. So, like, when you get a plant that presents russets, do you have to change out the soil beds or clear out any of the vegetation around the space if you're growing, you know, like with like living soil or, you know, tractor plants and whatnot?
Personally, I don't do shit with the soil.
Okay,
And I don't have a recurring problem or anything. Like I haven't seen them in years. But
amazing, nice.
I know that this year, like I had been ever since early in the season, I had been hearing about people getting taken out by russet mites this year. So
Mm,
I've kind of just been waiting for it,
okay,
you know, because I every season I have something pop up in here at some point that I have to deal with. You know, it was the first 2 years, it was spider mites trying to move in,
oh,
which that was
yikes,
just really being, you know, really preventative, and lots of predator bugs we kind of found out, which is only so effective outside, I feel like personally.
right.
But indoor, on our indoor, I mean, yeah, we pretty much have been on the predator bugs for the last year and have been just killing it with the indoor, and this like
Awesome.
super clean. And like we'll in the veg room we'll rotate, so we'll, you know, I'll do sachets, and then like every 6 weeks or so I'll pretty much go through the whole room and soft oil everything, and then I'll
Okay.
reapply new sachets, and that's been working great. um, but yeah, I haven't really done much to deal with the soil. I do try to water in nematodes every season, and you know, I feel like as long as, like I said, it's always that plant that's struggling is always the one that seems to get hit by those guys.
Yeah.
So
Mm.
as long as you can just keep everything, I think, healthy and kind of in balance, it seems to be, yeah, a lot more manageable outside, I would say, as well. Indoor, they just rage.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
and they go fast, like
They
really
do.
fast.
Well, you have
It's
the
amazing
CO2 running, and yeah,
how small they are and how fast they can move. It's amazing.
it is. It's really mind-boggling. And to add to that, I'm actually from Chicago, so I'm with you. Like coming from the Midwest, there are no russet mites. We hit negative 50 degrees, you know, come December or whatever that is, and yeah, we don't have to worry about these things. Like, wow, it's a learning curve for sure. I love doing these
Yeah.
podcasts with some of you more experienced folk because I have so much fear wrapped up in the pests in the garden. Like we were talking about this in the last episode, Joey, and it was over aphids. So like at the beginning of our garden, we were experiencing problems with aphids, and basically once we went into flower, they kind of like went away, you know. And I was like
Yeah.
for weeks just like freaking out over these little bugs that really didn't do a whole lot of damage, and
Yep.
it was fine.
Yeah. If you kind of, with the aphids, I feel like if they don't get insane on you before flower, I think if you can be patient, the weather will just kind of change and they just kind of go away.
Yeah.
Or
Yeah,
wait for it to, you know, wait to get that first big rain, and that pretty much gets rid of them.
The ladybugs
But
too.
they definitely can get pretty sick.
oh, yeah. The infestation is like, well, we were actually blasting them off with water. They're really easy to knock off with high pressure
Yep.
water. So just the hose tip and the weather change. Um, it's really like, yeah, that's my favorite part, I think, about growing in full sun. Nature takes care of itself like really well. All these things that if this was indoor, like we would be really flipping things over like fast.
Yeah, I will say as somebody that does both, I find the outdoor honestly to be a lot easier.
Yeah, absolutely.
A lot easier. Just kind of like I said in the beginning, I just kind of give them water,
Yeah, absolutely. We're gonna we want to fire up like a little tent this winter. We just to keep things rolling, keep some genetics as well. But yeah, I always think of all the things that come with the indoor. It's a lot of moving parts.
Yep. And the plants just act so different inside. I couldn't tell you why. I'm not a plant scientist or anything, but damn, if they're sensitive inside compared to outside.
Yeah,
I
yeah.
mean, all it takes is a couple days of the humidity changing or the temperature having a drastic change, and they just start like so unhappy. We're outside, we had one of the worst heat stretches we've ever had, Shit was like 111 here, and as long as the plants had water and food, they were just raging out
Nice.
Where inside they'd be dead.
Oh yeah, totally.
Sure.
Yeah, oh gosh, yeah. Did you guys do any shade cloth this year? Or?
I did early on some stuff, but not usually. No, I don't usually do shade cloth. I don't get a ton of direct sun. I got so I don't know if you can see me or not.
Oh yeah.
But the sun comes up over there, and then, middle of the summer is above that pine tree, but I get hit by this tree, those. So I get pretty broken sun. So I kind of don't worry about shade cloth too much.
Okay, yeah. We did the same. Early on, we were using it, and then our son moved behind the tree, and we don't need it anymore.
Yeah.
Solves that issue.
Yeah.
You
We'll
try
soon
to
be
be
done.
as possible, easy as possible.
But yeah, I got this. What I was looking for because you were talking about spraying them off with water. I've got this nozzle that I got at Peaceful Valley. It's kind of hard to see on here, but it just sprays water out of that tip in a 360-degree pattern. So you can just stick it on a wand into there and then pull it out, and it sprays in every direction. Really 4 spider mites.
Amazing.
That's what it is. Or I mean, 4 aphids. That's what it is advertised for.
Amazing.
And it works pretty good.
John pulled out this like hose tip that had the pressure of almost like a very low pressure power washer, and I lost it. I was like, you cannot spray my plants with that. I was so worried just thinking of like how high the pressure has to be, and yeah, he was right. I have to go validate him. But it's a really hard thing to wrap your head around, like blasting your plants with this like pressure hose. You just in logic you would think it was going to do damage, but they love it. It's great.
Yeah.
Every time we do it, they're so happy afterwards, and good to know that.
Yeah, they always perk up.
Yeah.
Hey Todd, we got a question here from one of our YouTube viewers. He says you've got thick, wide plants, no defoliation. Are you having to big leaf the inside of those? I know a lot of those are clones and super thick.
We leaf the hell out of them. This is the only plant I haven't cleaned up yet. The one that I was saying that was all bushy and stuff. The Skittles look really thick and bushy, but I don't know if you can tell on camera. They're pretty much all inside the cage is completely clean. The cage wraps the pot.
You did a great.
Here, let me go over by this really big Tallymon. This thing is, probably 13 feet tall from the ground, from the base. I could stand up inside this thing if I wanted to.
Oh yeah, that looks nice.
Yeah. I like to do I do a really heavy clean out, and then we will and usually Jen does it, my wife. We'll go around before we harvest, like a week, week and a half, sometimes even 2 weeks before we harvest. And obviously she can only do so much of this plant because she's only 5 feet tall, but she'll go through and she'll big leaf everything so that when we do fresh frozen prep, all that big leaf is already off.
Yes.
And we're not making any of those cuts. They're all healed up, so they're not fresh cuts.
Yes.
And yeah, I think that that's one thing we do in processing that kind of helps with the quality of everything. But I like to do a heavy clean out. I don't think you get, what I used to say is I don't think you get more weed. I think you get more baggable weed, which just means you don't end up with a bunch of small larvae stuff. You just end up with everything out here at the end that's baggable and gets nice and big and chunky. So I don't feel like you really make much of a weight difference. You just have more of the prime buds that you want, you know what I'm saying? And it's a lot easier at harvest. Like we don't have a lot of larvae inner garbage to deal with.
Yeah, we absolutely agree, and certainly some strains need it a lot more than others. Lauren, how about you guys? You and John practice similar practices up there, cleaning out the insides of those plants and those lower buds?
Yes. Actually, so we kind of let them bush out at the beginning, and then we do like a pretty good clean out through the center. We definitely added to it after seeing how much sun we lost, and also because of the concern with the early aphids. Just, as we know, having aphids can make things harbor mold. So we started cleaning pretty good. We did one, mid veg, and then once we flipped into flower. I did a lighter one, and then I just finished up where I almost kind of like went up to the top 3 V's. Anything, subsequent under that, like we took off. But yeah, we just find it's easier to harvest for fresh frozen. There's a lot less handling of the buds individually when there's less to take off. So yeah.
And like you said with the pests, keeping that inside clean
Yes.
means you're a lot less likely to end up with an infestation of something you don't want.
Right, right. They love those little suckers on the internal part of the plant. And I
Yeah,
love
they're
actually. Oh, sorry. Go
exactly.
ahead.
Nope. I was just agreeing with you.
Yeah, yeah. I noticed your plants. Like, I love how they're clean. They're so like perfectly round, like that round structure on the outside, and then the hollowed out. Kind of like clean, not hollowed, but cleaned inside. Like, perfect.
Yeah.
That's
Yeah, these Skittles really are like kind of the perfect, like round,
those are
not too
gorgeous.
tall, nice and wide.
Yes. Yes, I empathize. I sympathize with your wife being, in the 5 foot realm. Those are the
Yeah.
perfect plants for us to clean.
Yeah. Tell
Definitely.
me about it. So yeah, she'll get, I got to go up and get stuff off the ladder, but she'll have it, all cleaned up pretty high
What do
up.
you
She does a good
do? You
job.
guys? Yeah, they're perfect. They're like all perfectly uniform too. I love it. Do you guys super crop, or do you let them just kind of do their thing?
Well, this year we did everything from clone. This is the first time we did that. Usually we do at least half of this with seed plants, and usually I top everything. I think the Skittles I didn't touch because those just are that wide candelabra kind of structure on them. But
Yeah,
everything else has been topped.
nice. Yeah, we
Yeah.
did some. We topped 3, and then we left. Although we lost one after Regen on the river, we found some male parts, so we took that one out. It's become a little ecosystem of marigolds.
Was that
This
plant?
is actually the only one I didn't top, but it's from a clone, so it's still got
Okay.
2 really, main branches, but it got
Oh,
super
right.
tall. This was the last plant that I put in the ground.
Oh, wow, look at that.
Yeah, I had to pull the plant out of here that was in here and plant this super late, and it did great.
It's doing great. Yeah, I know. See, it's like never give up.
No, always fill the space with whatever I got is always my motto.
Lauren, was that plant a hermaphrodite, or was that an actual male that just slipped past or decided to change
It
sex?
was an actual male. Yeah, these were all from seed, actually gifted to us by the grower that helped us win that third place at Canifest. And I think one just slipped through, you know. Actually, there's a ongoing joke, evidently, which I didn't know because I'm not technically a local. But the joke is after Regen on the river, you come back and that's when you find your males.
Oh
Yeah.
yeah.
I don't know if I'm telling that joke right, but that happened to us. So we actually lived it.
That
Yeah.
joke has been made famous by Mean Gene's annual male plant at Reggae Meme-a-thon. So,
Right
Yeah.
there.
That's what I was gonna
Thank
say.
you.
I think Mean Gene did that.
Oh,
and it's
that's so
accurate.
funny.
We also found the male that same week
Mhm.
after
Oh,
Reggae.
so sad.
So-
Beautiful, beautiful landrace, Chinese sativa. So
oh,
yeah,
did
really
you
sad.
guys use it for pollinating or anything or
No, it was it hadn't dropped any pollen yet, and it was like a 13-foot tall plant. There was no like
oh,
trying to dig it up, or there
Yeah.
was no
Yeah.
point bothering. It was our yeah. We didn't even have we don't have
4
another
layers
field,
of trellis.
Yeah.
so
Friggin'
all good. We'll pop some more of those seeds next year. It was a big hit this last year when we grew it.
oh yeah, that's the name of the game, right? The
Yeah.
strains they come and it's some kind of forces that be, whether you lose them, you know, just from mites or from that happening. But there's
All right, so I want to hear about, we were just up at Canifest with Lauren and John, awesome cannabis festival up in Humboldt. It was really cool to see the cannabis spirit alive and well
Yeah.
in the Emerald Triangle. Todd, you just came back from being a very special guest judge out at the Culture Cup out in Maine, which
Yeah.
has quietly become one of the most respected hash competitions in the hash community. While it's not as well known and loud as the Ego Clash that has made a big splash over the years, certainly anyone who's in the real hash community has a ton of respect for Hidden Forest Farms and Hunter and the family and the crew out there. And this competition is slowly just garnering respect, bringing together some of the best hash makers in the world. Killer lineups, really, really fun ways to put on the event, making it really affordable for everybody and really supporting the community. Um, Tell us about this really special event you just got to participate in, Todd. Was that your first time going out there for the Culture Cup?
That was my first time. Excuse me. That was my first time going out there. Yes. And it was an amazing experience. I am happy to say. I haven't been, I'm from Wisconsin, but I haven't been on the East Coast since, God, I was in like 8th grade or something like that, my freshman year or something. So like 1993 or 1994 or something around there. So I haven't been on the East Coast in a long time, first of all, but it was amazing. It very much what I remember it being like in the 215 days that I experienced here in Canada. Much more patient based, uh, just a really good community, honestly. There's not as many people doing it. So you have that, everybody kind of knows each other. And it was really fun and it was good. And everything I saw from every state out there, from Michigan, Pennsylvania, Maine, Massachusetts, everything was really good. Really good. So it was quite a nice experience, I will say. And I kind of needed it because I've been kind of burnt on everything out here. So it was very nice to be reminded that there is still a more patient based community out there that isn't, I don't know what the right way to say it is, so I'll just go on to the rest of the trip. And the judging experience was very good. They do a different style. Everybody kind of has mimicked the Ego Clash, which is its whole thing on its own. Like that's a whole entity to itself. Like that's a whole monster to itself. But I feel like a lot of the competitions have kind of mimicked that and it's turned into this like whole gauntlet of smoking 40 dabs in a couple hours to judge stuff. And that becomes very difficult. And I've kind of said for a while that like in that format, and I'm not dissing it, it's just the way it is, that not necessarily the best jar in the room wins every time. Sometimes it's just kind of the way the stars align, because it's this whole gauntlet of, are you the first jar? Are you the last jar? Are you in the middle? Are you, it all comes into play, where this is more of a bracket style where you have to qualify, and then it's 2-day judging. And the first day we have 2 tables for each category, rosin and full melt. And I think it was 6 from each table go on to the second day. So you never have this situation where you're having to do like 40 dabs, because we do a table A and a table B. Table B gets a set of hash, table A gets a set of hash, and that's what we judge. And then the next day you judge the people that, made it through to day 2. So it was like really relaxed. It wasn't this like rushed thing. You got to enjoy it. You got to go back if after we compiled all the jars basically and let everybody come back and relook at jars if they needed to. It was all paper scoring, so you could change your score on stuff if you needed to, because it's hard to get a baseline. The first jar, it's like, I don't know, I haven't seen any other hash today, so I have nothing to compare this to. So it's difficult to judge things properly. So in this format, I believe that the best hash won, and it was in the order 1, 2, 3 at each table. Like I really do, because yeah, it creates a judging format that I think gives a better chance of us actually all picking what we all agree is the best hash that was brought to that competition. It was fun.
Yeah, I always like think about that in a judging scenario. Just once you've done that many dabs in that short amount of time, it's very hard to translate, what the effects are, which effects are coming from where. So I could see that being.
Oh yeah, and it was, I was the second day, I double checked my scorecard at the end, and sure enough, I had 2 of them tied. So, and they were the top 2 on my scorecard, so I got to go back, look at both of them, and they it was each had different attributes. One might have been a 9.5 on the melt, and one might have been a 9, but the other one might have been a 9.5 on the flavor, and the other one was a 9. It was like perfectly matched up that they were even. So I got to go back through them and look at both of them again, try both of them again, and give the winner an extra half a point.
Yeah, you're consistent on your feel. Your feel from the first one. That's that, in my opinion, would be the proper way to judge hash just overall. That's cool that's happening in the world.
And my 1, 2, 3 was the way that it stacked up. That was first, second, and third for the competition.
Nice.
So
nice. Yeah,
I think that probably was for a lot of people. So
awesome.
It was fun. Yeah, and Hunter does a really good job. It was at a really nice venue. Plenty of food. The first day it was like potluck, so everybody that knew about it and was local brought stuff. So there was like more than enough food, which is kind of a rare thing for these events. And it was, you didn't have to pay for any food. And then the second day, there was a whole like reggae concert after everything that wasn't even like really tied to us, but kind of like whether there was the competition or not, this reggae concert was happening, and people bought tickets for it. And like, so,
Nice.
and then there was a whole cannabis event attached to that was just like our old 215 days, a whole big row of 10 by 10 booths set up and people selling cannabis. And, at a lot of them, you needed to have a medical card. which you could have pretty much a medical card from any state, but it, you know, very much had that old school vibe. You know, I call it old school, but from, you know, 6, 7, 8, 10 years ago.
Yeah.
Here.
Oh, that's awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And Maine is very pretty, so that adds to it, you know?
Yeah, I really enjoyed watching all the stories and seeing how it was set up over a couple of days. And yeah, the locations look beautiful. That the day you're talking about with all the food looked incredible. I must have saw 50 different people's stories that day, just showing the spread of the food. It was that impressive. Yeah, the desserts.
Yeah, it was.
Great. Yeah, and that definitely does make the event. And like you were saying, man, the hash gauntlet is brutal. We've seen the end of the ego clash. People can barely talk. Their eyes are crossed. And everybody says, hey, my entry would have done better, except I was in the last 10 jars that got smoked.
Yeah.
And people sometimes forget to smoke the last jars, and it's not ideal to have to sit down and smoke 40 dabs of rosin or melt. We've never had to do that, Benny. I don't know that I could. I've never sat at that.
But it's just part of that experience of ego clash. That's part of what it's become, you know. And like I'll always say, and I know like Brandon says, if you don't like the way it's ran, don't put your hash on the table. You know, it's that simple.
That's true.
But yeah, I love the way those guys did those qualifiers. Certainly a big inspiration for us doing these monthly qualifier events and our Regen sessions for our Cured Cup event next May.
Yeah.
We really drew some inspiration from those Maine boys.
Because it helps, it helps it get down to a reasonable amount that you can really judge. So and to be the best, the cream of the crop. You know, it's already gone through.
And it creates a cool dynamic too, because you can bring a different flavor the second day. So like, oh, I got 6th place and I barely squeaked through in the qualifier. You know, maybe I'll try this other flavor that I brought, or.
You did a lot.
Pretty cool.
Todd, were people end up submitting a couple different entries over the weekend, or were they mostly sticking with the entry?
I can't say. I know that Chris, who won Melts, Real Cannabis Chris, I know he entered the same flavor both days. I think the guys, those oh my God, Electric City Hash Company that took 3rd place. I think they're from Pennsylvania.
Yeah.
I'm pretty sure he entered the same flavor both days, but I think some people definitely. I'm pretty sure Real Deal entered a different flavor the second day. He was on the rosin side, but I can't say for sure because you don't see. The thing is we don't see every single entry the first day. You know, I only see the set of 13 that was at our table.
Oh yeah. Well, yeah. So, shout out to the Real Cannabis Chris, still out there dominating the competitions, and
yeah. I mean, I gotta say, I've been at quite a few competitions. I've seen his stuff at the table, and he's kind of like, with the entry that he won at that one, it's like he almost kind of is taking it to like a different level of melt quality. It's like it melts like rosin, dude. It's like, it's insane how clean it is in the banger. It's just, you literally just dip the Q-tip to soak the oil up, you know? It's so like I gave him the first perfect 10 I've ever given on a scorecard ever. So
that's amazing. That is so cool. I love that. That's pretty big coming from you.
The credit where it's due, man. He's killing it. Yeah, no, he's killing it, dude. I gotta just be fully honest.
Todd, what are you doing different than the rest of us?
Yeah.
Is it the pheno hunts? Is it the genetics? Is it how they're washing? What are these guys doing?
And what is he doing?
On the top there.
Oh, he's doing huge pheno hunts. He did one. I don't know if he's doing it every season. I can't. But I know. I don't think it was last season, but the season before, I'm pretty sure he did I want to say he popped over 1,000 seeds. And did a huge pheno hunt and then kind of has been working through that for a little while. And and then now he's starting to do some of his own crosses, which is really cool. And I think he may have even replaced with something with one of his own, but don't quote me on any of this. I can't. Not 100% sure.
Yeah.
But yeah, I know for sure Chris put in the work doing these big pheno hunts, and you're seeing that work pay off. And that's what it is. He's put in the work to have different flavors to separate himself from the crowd, and it's paying off.
Big time. Yeah, I've heard him talk about this as well, the big pheno hunt that he did last year and all the hashers that have come out of that. And yeah, people need to hear that. You can't just keep washing the same old clones. We got to pop those seeds. We got to find those new terpenes. And like Chris, you got to start mixing these hashes together.
And he does that.
Together. I mean, yeah, he has become the master of that. Certainly whenever we see a thumbprint or some hashes combined, his name comes to mind immediately. Yeah, these guys are crushing it as they should.
And personally, I think that's really hard to do. So like even more credit then, because every time I've tried to mix any sort of full melt, I just end up canceling out one of the flavors or just having a lesser version of both. It's like I've never figured out a mix that's really good. So like that means somebody's putting a lot of R&D work into like mixing hash and the ratios. And because I asked him, and he told me, he won't tell me everything, but like, yeah, they do different ratios for stuff. And like I'm pretty sure this one, it's the same strain, but they're different phenos. And like one just melts like absolutely insane, but the other one brings more flavor to the table. So it kind of does that thing. And yeah, and then I know he's done some of the stuff that he's given his own name to, and I think his reasoning for it, I fully stand behind. I think is very sound, and I think most breeders would be okay with it. I think most breeders are okay if you find your own pheno of something that is distinctly different than the original, that it's okay to rename it. But it's like, say you have a GMO back cross or something, and I'm just going to be super wild with it, and it tastes like strawberry bubble gum or something. Like, do you want to call it GMO? Not really, because everybody's going to have a predeceived notion of what it's going to taste like and what it's going to be like. And maybe go into that experience negatively. You know what I'm saying? So like,
Yeah.
You don't want to call that GMO because it has no GMO characteristics. And then it just leads people down this, placebo effect is very strong. So, I believe that that's really good reasoning to be doing that, especially these days.
You mentioned mixing some melts together. Have you tried to make different types of thumbprints with rosin and stuff? And have you had any success? We haven't played with any of that.
I do the tapioca tech, I guess some people are calling it, where you do a jam and cold cure mix. So I don't separate it in a thumbprint. I just mix it together. And those turn out really nice. I really like them. I've done a few that I've mixed flavors, and they've all come out really nice. Yeah, I like doing the jam cold cure mix. I like it. It's fun.
Yeah. What about you, Lauren? Have you played with any thumbprints or mixed any rosin or melt together?
So we just won Canifest with a mix.
Oh yeah.
But it wasn't. It wasn't a thumbprint. I used to do a lot of jar tech, like in the earlier days. We had done the banana OG strain, and that was a really high THCA strain. So right off the press, it would just come off like sugary, real sugary, and more like, not, I don't want to say dry, but like more like granule, like sugar granule. And we would crash that out, and we got this like beautiful chunky jam from it. We just had so much that we did half heat tech with it. But for the most part, everything we do is cold cure. And fresh press. I love fresh press. It's like one of my favorite ways to dab, but not everybody's. That's always another controversial topic in the dab community. But yeah, I think kind of touching on what you were. I'm sorry. Can you tell me your name one more time?
Todd.
Todd, yeah.
I'm so sorry. You were kind of commenting on just like, when you have like a preconceived notion about terps, like GMO is just people will always connotate to the unfavorable things, where sometimes, when you pheno hunt, you get these really beautiful expressions of the plant, and it's different. So yeah, like that's yeah, we mix, and we typically have more success with the mix than we do with the flavors on their own. We also did it with grapes. We have grapes and cream, and we were mixing that with, oh gosh, it was farmer's daughter. No, it was citrus farmer, I'm sorry. And it was a really nice blend of the two, but on their own they were just kind of muted and not as I don't know, like one was like terpier and the other was like a little lower terpene, so like mixing them together kind of balanced out the weakness in the other strains. So yeah, we do it all the time. It's just got to be the right mix.
Yeah.
What thoughts going into a mixed wash? I want to hear from both of you guys, because we've been having to do some mixed washes this last year because we're growing on such a small personal scale. Often we can't even fill a 20-gallon bag, a 20-gallon wash bag. So, and we've done some mixed washes where one strain really overpowers. You have one strain just get completely lost in it. How do you guys approach that, and what are some terps that would be good starting point to mix with some of these other washes?
Yeah, that's I like doing mixed washes. I think they're fun. Um, I've done quite a few that have all come out nice, but I definitely have done some and had the experience that you have that just like one completely like overpowers, or it actually overpowers, but then the other ones mute it just a little bit, if that makes sense. Like Moroccan peaches, like it's going to overpower everything. But because you mixed it, it's not quite as loud as just the Moroccan peaches on its own. Like I've definitely have had that experience too. But I like doing the mixed washes, and I usually do it like just that situation you're talking about. It's like, oh, I only have 1,500 grams of this flavor, and oh, I only have 2,000 of this one, so I'm gonna just mix these two together. Most of the time, it's just been like haphazardly, and like one time I had a ton of stuff, so I didn't want to have a ton of both flavors. So they're actually these two right next to each other right now, Dosi Papaya and Chem Dog, which seems kind of crazy, but made an amazing mix. And that was just kind of totally, I kind of just have to, decision, or I'm going to have, pounds of both of these.
Well,
So I
I
like
think
it. And to say like what flavors to start with, that's hard. I don't know.
the mixed wash is like a true testament of the small batch washer and farmer, because you're always kind of mixing like these things that are either too small for a full wash, or you have like a little extra from one other batch of a wash. So yeah, they're like born of that, I feel like.
Mm-hmm.
But
Now this year, and again, actually, now that we're talking about it, it's because of exactly what you're saying. Like I'm gonna have a lot of Skittles, like a lot. Not that that's a problem, but I'm gonna have more than I anticipated. But I'm only gonna have like a tiny bit of this grape gas plant over here. I think now, seeing it, I might have enough. But the plan initially was like, oh, I'm gonna do like a Z grape gas mix, because that sounds like it could be really fucking good, right?
sounds great.
But still was born from that whole like, oh, I've got a ton of this thing, so I might as well play with it a little bit and have some fun. I guess that's the way I look at it.
Well, and it's still your palate, like the flavor choices that you have in your garden are probably symbiotic, because, well, for one, they're growing next to each other, but like it's still like your taste and terpenes. So like they're bound to kind of, I mean, not always. I'm sure there's some not great mixes, but they're,
Yeah.
they're probably pretty complimentary.
Yeah, I think you got a good point there. That because of your palate, they're probably going to be complimentary. Oh, I agree.
Do you
Well,
think that, oh, sorry. I think I'm on a delay. I was just going to ask, do you think that terpene expression is affected by the plants that like if you're growing two different phenos next to each other? Because they say it is if you grow basil, like next to your cannabis plants, it will help boost terpene production. But do you think that they're altered if they're growing next to different like flavors?
I haven't put a ton of thought into that. I know exactly what you're saying, though, with planting certain herbs and spices and different seem to be terpene rich plants that tend to be ones that they say will impart some flavor or help that plant produce more terpenes. I would imagine because cannabis is a high terpene plant, it's going to have the same effect in some sense, but I haven't put much thought into it. That's just like off the top of my head with you asking.
I was thinking about this the other day in the garden.
I'm a little obsessed with. This is like one of my passions. I absolutely love planting, doing like terpenes and matching them and trying to bring out limonene or linalool. And like linalool, has like the lavender. And so around our purple plants, I have the lavender growing. And then I also, it's each year I'm trying to get it down more and more, but it's like one of the limonene plants being around with like lemon balm and lemongrass. It just like, because all of that is like going back because I'm also chopping and dropping at the same time. So those terpenes are also going into the soil. So it's all being brought up into the plant. And so you're also having the same like microbial life for both those plants happen. So I do believe that there is a correlation between that, very much so.
I'm so glad I'm asking you right now because I just thought about the post I wanted to make about your booth after CannaFest. Oh my goodness. You are like a apothecary. Like it's unbelievable. Like the things that you have on your table, like just so many variations of I don't even want to explain it because I'm not going to explain it right, but an herbalist, so the true sense of the meaning for sure.
She's a modern day witch.
Oh,
That's
seriously.
awesome. I like the pocket fairy.
Yeah,
That's great.
so cool.
I'm feeling frustrated lately because I haven't been able to really make more formulas, and because I've been working so much in our hemp business and getting everything legit and each product, all the way to the retail. And so it's like been focusing on that. And so I'm like, when I was looking at my table, for me, I'm like, oh, there's hardly anything here.
Oh my gosh, I was mind blown.
I'm really happy to share it. Like, I love, this is like my passion. I can't help but do it. And so I love working with plants.
I can see that.
That's another thing we do for, like, we were talking about pests earlier. We didn't really chime in, but that's another way I prevent pests too, because they're the smelly plants that are around the cannabis or the hemp, and it helps, and so I try to find like a balance between the stuff that brings things in and then repels it. And then at the same time, most of those smelly herbs can also be used as a natural pesticide if you mix it with some natural soap.
Yeah.
So those are my favorite things to just kind of always have around, and then we're able to use it because they all work in conjunction together to make different medicines. So,
and you got to talk about the stinging nettle.
The stinging nettle. So I did this experiment because one of my teachers, she is extremely knowledgeable. Like a lot of this that I'm talking about, she taught me. And so she was telling me how nettle, if you grow it around the plant, there's cannabis and nettle, like they have a little bit of a friction. And so the nettle like irritates the cannabis. And so for its defense, it creates more trichomes. And so I started doing it, and I did a side-by-side plant thing when I had my boxes instead of my rows. So it was side by side, one nettle, one knot, and it was a significant difference, like between the trichome levels. It was really interesting. I did that a couple years in a row, and then now I'm just like, okay, nettle, here it goes. And I love growing it underneath the plant because first it's like a huge nutrient source for our plants. Then it's a huge nutrient source for ourselves. And so when it starts to get out of hand, you just chop it, either hang it to dry or put it in your feed tank. Like that's a great liquid fertilizer we make is the nettle. And so we keep it underneath, and it's the only way I've been able to grow nettle all year because the cannabis creates such a lovely layer that the nettle is shady and moist, and it's like this perfect environment for it. So that's, yeah, I love growing the nettle with it. Though Joey has a hard time. It's very stingy, of course. And right now it's very abundant and loving life. So
the nettle needles are actually used as inflammatory. So like you can put them into areas where you have arthritis. I mean, not like deep, but poke yourself with them and they reduce inflammation, and they're amazing. Nettle's amazing. It's amazing. So to hear that about the correlation between cannabis, it's like not shocking because it's nettle. It's just like that. It's like, but it's also shocking. It's amazing. Good to know. My ground cover is suffering right now. It's like too late in the season, and I don't know what's going on with it. It's just kind of drying out, and maybe I'll plant some nettle. It's time.
There you go.
In the spring, it helps it. Yeah, that's another herb that I'm obsessed with is nettle. I did a whole report in one of my herb classes over it, and it was my final report, and I just kept going and going and going. It was really quite funny, but yeah, you can use it in so many ways, and it's so good for us that I always recommend it. And I would like to tell everyone too, there's only 2 plants that we know of right now, and now we're finding the CBGA helps as well, is with the men's prostate, and that is the nettle root. If you're able to harvest the root, put it in tincture, put it in tea, it's like a tonic for a men's prostate. So just putting that out there into the world, it's really powerful medicine. And then it also keeps the nettle from getting out of control. If I go in there and just rip the roots out, and I do that so often, and that way it like cuts it way back, but then it just loves it, so it comes back so abundantly. But it's another way to like keep it under control.
I just realized I was confusing nettle with star thistle. Nettle. Yes, nettle. And nettle is like it has like kind of like a leathery leaf, right? Like it grows like kind of flat.
Mm-hmm.
Right. I need to get some of that. I love it. It's such a pretty.
Yeah, what you're saying about the acupuncture, it's very true. Like I had my finger, I had broken, and I wasn't able to move it. It was like this, and I was like, "What is going on?" And I had it even X-rayed at my chiropractor, and he's like, "Okay, everything's fine. It's just it was like the muscle and stuff the way it had gone." And so for a full summer, I just went out and I played in my nettle every day barehanded. And just kept and then like it's fine now. Like,
amazing.
I don't even like there's no pain. It went away by like that next spring, and I never thought about it again until like I tell the story. So it was kind of interesting about that.
Amazing. I have to keep that in mind for my aches and pains because
Go roll in the nettle. Yeah. Fun.
Yeah. Go for a roll in the nettle. But that
Sounds like
again.
no thanks.
One of our YouTube watchers, Rodrigo Cunningham, recommend the Queen Anne's lace as a terpene-rich companion plant. What are your thoughts on the Queen Anne's lace? Do we grow that one?
Yes, we grow a lot of it actually, and it's surrounding the hemp. My main purpose in it is because it is a natural birth control for women. It makes it where the egg cannot implant on the uterine wall. And so you just take that. And so we grow a lot of that. And that is one of the big things that we're going to put out there. And so, yeah, and I haven't really thought of it as a terpene, but yeah, that makes sense. I actually was just growing it for that. And it's a great border plant and so many beneficials love it. There's so many benefits to that plant. It is so beautiful as well. And so I think it's a great companion plant.
What was that one called again?
Queen Anne's lace.
Mm-hmm. It's very floral. Yeah. Beta carotene. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, someone said on Instagram, the needles in the nettle are its trichomes, so that makes sense why it would help in trichome production. The needles in the nettle. That was from our buddy High Genetics.
No, that's rad.
Yeah.
That is right.
Well, hey, Todd, before we jump off of the last thing I want to ask about that culture cup, that sounded like such a good time, and we're just so happy that the hash culture is alive and well across the country and only getting stronger. It seems like every time there's a big hash event, some new name always rises to the top, and it's a nice introduction, and some light gets shined on a new state. Of course, we got our buddy Cannabis Chris sliding in there, but the big name and the big state everyone seemed to be talking about after this last event was Pennsylvania.
Yeah.
And you mentioned it, and not a state we think of when we think of good cannabis, but it sounds like all that's going to change or has been changing. Tell us about these hashers from Pennsylvania and any other really impressive entries that surprised you and stood out.
I can't say much about them because I don't know much about them. But from what I got to talk to them, the little bit that I did, it sounds like we're basically in like a 4x8 tent or something like that, or like 8x8 grow tent, and came out and kind of fucking smashed it, you know?
That's right. Stuff is grown, yeah, in the base.
Which is like my absolute favorite thing to see at these events. That's what I want to know. That's why I want it to be, you know, a smaller entry amounts so that small guys can, you know, participate and stuff like that. Because I want to know who the dude is with like one light and a 4x4 that's just fucking putting a boot on our neck. You know what I'm saying? But yeah, they won with it. What's really cool is they won with some of Hunter's genetics. This I can't remember exactly what the cross is. I'm pretty sure it was their Z cubed male that Hunter found that they crossed with something. And yeah, these guys found a pheno that they got third in melt and first in rosin, I believe. And I think Hunter's got a bunch of it in his outdoor garden now this year from the clones that they gave him. So that's about all I know. But yeah, pretty cool, I think. I thought it was cool. Pennsylvania came out, represented, you know. And they seem like really nice people, really nice guys. So
pretty cool. Yeah. We love hearing that. We love hearing when it's a small backyard grower, a personal grow. And yeah, people shouldn't be intimidated. These big hash companies, they're big hash companies. The quality control often isn't there.
Exactly.
Thanks to those boys. I guarantee you, you're putting in just as much love as anybody else and attention. And on a smaller grow, you can really get it tuned and get it dialed, get your genetics dialed. And yeah, we love hearing that.
Exactly.
Talking about genetics, what strain are you putting in for this dinner, Todd?
The Lime Burst from the pheno hunt that I did, which is this Dosey Papaya by Enzo 420 at 420 Nomad 707 on Instagram. His lemon limes that they've I think they won Emerald Cup a few years ago with it. That lemon lime is. So yeah, it's a fun strain.
Yeah, it's really good. That one was super
It'll be fun.
Yeah, we're super excited about that. Yeah, let's talk about this dinner coming up a week from tomorrow, September 21st, out here at our farm in Middletown. Our head chef, Alex, he hasn't been able to slide in here. He might still make an appearance. He cooks dinner every night for the Gangier campus out there in Salmon Creek and Humboldt, and they've got a whole batch of students there this week. He said, I think I have a chillum ceremony I have to lead at 6 o'clock right before dinner. So I might be swamped. So shout out to Alex. He's a real one holding it down, and
Absolutely.
we're super excited to pair everybody's hash up with his incredible menu and some of our veggies from the farm here. Yeah, Todd, we love that that limes. You gave us a jar of that at the last Regen sesh when you came out and spoke on that panel.
Yes.
Super limey, super gassy.
Really
and we're big fans of Enzo 420 Nomad's work. He gifted me some bags of that flour this winter when he was doing the big pheno hunt through that the double limes. Is that what he calls it?
And lemon limes.
Oh, lemon limes, yeah.
Okay.
And yeah, super limey weed. The hash was super limey and gassy, and yeah, we're really excited to see what Alex pairs that
with it.
with.
Yeah. It's gonna be exciting.
I am too. That's why I threw that one in. I'm like, I'm interested to see what gets paired with it, you know? And it was super fun.
You mentioned you're growing that grape gas in your garden, and I know that's what our homeboy Flynn of Wooksauce Winery is bringing to the table. So I'm really excited to see what that gets paired with as well. Lauren, tell us. I know you have something really special. I actually saw it on your story the other day. It looked really dank. Fan favorite. What are you guys bringing out to the dinner?
We have a classic New York sour D, and it is checking all the boxes. It does not disappoint. I think we're gonna do that fresh press. I didn't like a immediate press after CannaFest in hopes that maybe I could cure some up by the event. It is a really terpy strain, and it is curing faster than some of the other strains I've worked with. But I think just sticking with the classic fresh press is gonna be the way. I figured it'd be a good variation. I figured there'd be other cold cure on the menu, so yeah, I love fresh press. It's like I said, it's one of my favorite ways to. I actually have some of it right here, my R&D jar, which I've been kind of working on all day. It's a really nice very classic to the strain. It has a very nostalgic palate and a very kind of cerebral, and for me at least, cerebral and like euphoric, good, daytime.
Excited.
Yeah, I'm excited to bring it. I think everyone will enjoy it, hopefully as much as I do. So, and John, who's selflessly watching the kids right now. John is here in Dallas.
You got little ones. It takes a team, and you guys are an awesome team.
Thank you.
Kids and garden and hash is a lot, and you guys do it with a lot of grace and a lot of intention. It's been fun to get to know you guys, and man,
thank you guys. You too.
New York Sour D, that's going to be a killer one. I haven't seen any good New York Sour D in a long time. I mean, I grew it probably 20 years ago. I was growing it.
Todd had some good stuff of it.
Yeah.
Nice. I wonder if it was maybe like of the same genetic realm. The cultivator who did this one is like very into the heirloom strains. And like that's like his jam. Like a lot of headband, and we did some Blue Dreams, Blue Dream earlier, which is not a good hasher, but it's like I felt like it went to a time machine back to 2005. It's just like so. Cannabis is like that. It's like the strongest scent. It's tied to memory. Like cannabis is no different for me. So I'm super pumped about the sour D.
We are smoking on currently some Santa Cruz sour D.
Oh, nice.
That I think we got from actually Mercy Wellness in Sebastopol.
Oh yeah, cool.
And it's actually really fucking good. I love it.
Oh,
I've always loved, or Blue Dream. I'm sorry, not sour D. Blue Dream. Blue Dream. And yes. I love Blue Dream. I'm a fan.
Blue Dream.
Always have been.
And
it's so good.
Kind of going back into like what you were saying earlier about like when strains become like too abundant or they get played out. All of these strains are abundant and played out for a reason. Like Purple Punch is one of the most crossed strains, like I think ever, right? I don't know. I don't want to like quote that wrong, but yeah,
you might be right.
Maybe but it's really like it goes to show that when the masses like something, there's a reason for that, and it will come back hopefully or recirculate, and I've seen that happen with so many different cannabis strains. Sour D and Blue Dream are both. I mean, there was a point in my life where if I smoked any more Sour D or Blue Dream, I might like just not even want to smoke that day. Like I'd smoke so much of it. But now there's just something so magical about like getting those flavors and those yeah.
I was gonna say earlier though, when you were talking about your GMO, don't worry, because GMO is about to make a comeback. Mark my words. People, or at least it's gonna be acceptable again. Like people, it's been kind of a while since garlic terps have been around, so it's about time for them to circle back around.
Yeah,
Because
I
everything
foresee
does.
it too.
You know,
everything
and
Yeah.
I recently did a GMO by OGZ from Highwalker Gardens, and I kind of was like, yeah, I don't know if we can package it because it's just kind of GMO, and I don't know. And then we talked about it, and we're like, well, I think GMO is kind of maybe ready for a comeback. And you know what? At the Ridge Sesh, dude, we fucking sold all of it. So
Oh,
Yeah, nice. See,
I
it's
love that.
Yes,
definitely
fruit dominated scene for a while, and
yeah.
yeah,
a little more funk is ready to come back. Yeah.
Yeah.
I believe
Well,
so.
and going back into like what you were saying with the power of suggestion or the placebo effect, like these candy names, like they're appetizing for the consumer. When you go into a dispensary and someone's like, "Oh, I have a, like glittery
Cherry cheesecake.
strawberries," yeah, like that sounds delicious in theory, but when it comes to like cannabis, like you got to go by the terpenes, like which we all know already, but it's definitely yeah, the names. I'm over the names. Like I'm ready for some like funky, gassy. Like I love them, like all of them.
Yeah, I like you already because I'm the gas man.
Yeah, same.
That's what I'm
Lady.
always looking for. But all right, I had this conversation with some other people too, like in Maine and here in California, when it comes to like gas and fruit in the hash world, and why fruit is so dominant versus the gas. And we all kind of have the same theory. And I just think that there's a wider range of flavors that you can get on the fruit side than you can on the gas side. Like you're pretty much got your sour, your OG, your Kush, your Chem, your GMO. And GMO is pretty chemy, it's chem based.
Yeah.
So you really only have so many variations that you can pull out of those terpene profiles, I think.
Yeah, absolutely.
Versus you can have strawberry cheesecake, you can have strawberry souffle, you can have strawberry popsicle, you can have strawberry bubblegum, like
Right. And again, the flavor palette is, I mean,
Yeah.
it's very important when you're doing, you're doing dabs, pairing especially, but I am so like centered more on the feel, and like for me it's just always been those gassy, like really stringent terps, like which don't always go great on the dab nail, but we have this, like, it's actually a cross between the Tallimon and the Sunset, or I'm sorry, the Tallimon and the is it Caddy Rainbows? We're calling it dark, or what is it, Tally Rainbows, and it's like very stringent, but it's just such a pleasant feel that I can get over, the taste. I think I don't know.
I like that astringent. Like give me some baby puke terps and like chemical factory and things that you smell. And when you smell it, like you can tell it's gonna like blow your chest out, and like make you, your lungs
eyes are watering.
inflate. And, yeah, your eyes water. That's what I want. That's what I'm looking for.
Same, totally. The 21st is going to be so much fun.
Yeah.
So
I hope so many people can come out for this because it's going to be so good.
Yes.
It's going to be so much gassy terps, eyes watering.
That's right. DM us for that ticket
I'll
link.
get to go camping.
out and enjoy this beer and enjoy this hash.
Mm-hmm.
Hit us up sooner than later. Those tickets are going. And our buddy High Octane Genetics, he chimed in that most gas terps are volatile and don't wash very well, which is also something to consider. What's your guys' experience been with that?
I'll agree with that.
It's we never see any real good OG rosin or melt, or sour seems to be the miracle one. But what are your thoughts on that? Where can we find some?
I mean, I would kind of agree with that.
I would too.
That they are the more volatile terpenes, and tend to probably just create a resin that doesn't hold up well in the water. That's what it is. OG, it's just it's just oil and water basically, and that doesn't work.
The very few. We've had a couple OGs that we did a Miyagi OG a few years ago that was so beautiful, but not a great yielder. But for us, it was still worth running because it was such nice hash. And like a lot of times we kind of weigh the balance on that. Like if something like is just so fire, like even though the yield's not great, like we'll still run it, and then we'll just run something that has a great yield to make up for the loss, I guess. But like even this sour D, it's not like a huge yielder. It doesn't dump, but oh my gosh, it's just like just got to keep running it for the terps, I think.
Didn't we grow the Miyagi OG one year? I'm pretty sure I grew the Miyagi OG one time.
I feel like we did. I feel like that sounds very familiar. Yes.
Another good OG.
Go ahead.
Oh, sorry, I was gonna just chime in with the Hammerhead OG is a great washer. If anyone knows where there's a good cut of Hammerhead OG around, we lost the genetics, but that one's great. We were getting I think somewhere around like 4% on those, and such beautiful hash. But sorry, don't let me. I digress.
I was just having this conversation an hour before we came on here about OG and how many different strains carry that OG moniker with them, and how many deserve to even carry it. Because one of the sayings is if it's an OG and it washes, it's not a true OG, because OG just like will not wash. It's so hard to get that like Southern Florida OG in hash form. Like I think that's what we've all been chasing for so long. So sometimes you have the experience that you have that it has a really low yield, so it's not really marketable. And sometimes I've seen some of them that have really good OG terps, but it like the color's not marketable.
Oh, right.
So it's like, I think that's why the world doesn't get to see a lot of those, but I've definitely have washed some that definitely had really good OG terps, but like I can't really give it to other people. I can only keep it for myself, so you tend to not grow them again, but that's what we're looking for. So if you got something, bring it. I want to see it. I want to try it.
Same. Me too.
Because I think everybody's chasing kind of OG right now a little bit, and going to be the next year or two. Like everybody wants that back, and there's so many things like Scott's OG and this OG and that OG that are just like not it. You know what I'm saying? From back in the day, that OG.
Yeah, like the straight gas. Yeah. I know. I hope it's making a comeback because I think it will too. It seems like,
because those original genetics, man, they're a lot of them are just really cooked and have tons of pathogens and viruses, and that's why you don't really see them around anymore. I know some people are working some things that might have some potential to be
for an OG and Blue Dream, it just used to be everybody and their grandma had a cut. It was everywhere. Everybody was growing it, and we've gone through the last decade of nobody having a good cut. It just kind of fell by the wayside, and I'm hearing a lot of people are growing sour this year, so we're happy that the sour is at least coming back. But yeah, OG needs to come back, man. OG was some incredible herb. I had a lot of years where all I was growing was OG, Blue Dream, and Green Crack. That was my rotation.
Hell yeah. Hell, sign me up. You know? Oh.
Have you ever run OG Kush? Just
like a straight OG Kush now.
It was. I mean, it was the OG Kush clone, back in the day, and then we started crossing that with a seed strain, OG seed strain that we got, and calling that the Monster OG. And there was a couple different phenos. There was one that was really dirty and one that was a little sweeter. Todd remembers we grew a bunch of these out in 2016. And some were decent hashers, some were better than others. It made better BHO than it made rosin or melt or anything. But you could get 5-pound OG plants off of this thing from a seed strain and not have to deal with clones. And yeah, it was a little off. The OG buyers wanted to pay $1 or $2 less than the clone, but you'd make up for it with all that weight and by the ease of growing a seed plant, not having to deal with all those pests and dealing with lights and dealing with veg and all those issues. Here's a question for you guys that might lead into an interesting conversation about purple hash. Let's talk about purple hash, because the question here is, what do we think about the white thorn? This guy's talking about the white thorn rose hash. This is a strain developed by our buddy Johnny Casali in Humboldt at Huckleberry Hill Farms. A really awesome hash. That's a really awesome strain.
I love it.
The hash is purple. Catches some heat in the circle. In the Ego Class circle, purple hash kind of caught some shit the last couple of years. Friends of ours, purple melt entry, and was kind of heat right at entry drop-off time. They went on to use a green pheno of that same hash and won our last hash qualifier at the Regen set. So, what are you guys' thoughts on purple hash, purple melt? Like I said, it's caught a lot of shit recently, but we've smoked some and seen some that is legit. It's not mixed with any coloring or any bullshit like that.
Yeah, our friends, they showed us the terpene heads where it was purple inside. It was so to see that picture, and they're like, it's from the glands. This is inside those little heads.
The purple
it's whatever. Are you specifically purple hash, like loose heads, or purple rosin?
It was purple melt. It was purple looking melt. I know they've won some emerald cups with it. I know they've won some rosin cups with it. It placed again at Emerald Cup this year. Whitethorn Rose, some crosses of it. It's definitely some special hash.
It makes good rosin, specifically the Whitethorn Rose. I don't know how the resin's not that good. Let's just being honest. I don't know. I think it's just the purple maybe that gets people, but it doesn't melt that great. But it's whatever. Purple hash is cool. Just don't let that purple give you beer goggles. You know what I'm saying?
Like, and removing
full honesty, until Trichome Tortoise dropped that super boof on the table at Ego Clash 2 years ago, before that, I hadn't seen any naturally purple hash that I thought was any good. Most of it usually just was too heavy anthracite or was kind of left wet to keep the purple in it, and was just not a good dabbing experience. So the first time I saw pictures of it, I kind of was like, yeah, whatever. You know, I've seen purple hash and I've never seen good purple hash. But then I saw it in person, and, I pretty much immediately was like, bro, you're going to get top 3 for sure. There's no way you're not. It has this beautiful look. It melts good. It smells good. It tastes good. Purple hash is cool. Naturally occurring purple hash is cool. Purple rosin? I don't know. Naturally occurring purple rosin, I've seen only once or twice. I don't know. Does the whitethorn rose come out purple when it's pressed? I don't know personally. Does anybody know? I think it comes
That'd be
out
the question
normal
for
color.
Jared. I think Solventless and Mendo pressed that one. Like my experience, like we did Forbidden Fruit one year. It's a very purple hash. Again, the anthocyanins that are, present in the trichome heads that we're washing. Like the thing about those, like I don't know. I actually that might be a good question more for you, Tamara. Is what are the body's benefits to ingesting anthocyanins, like taking hash away from it if you were to use them in tincture form or topical? I know they're high in antioxidants,
Kind of
and there's benefits to eating them, like blueberries, blackberries. But in terms of hash, kind of going like back to what you were just saying, does it melt? Does it taste well? And what is its like overall like jar appeal? And if all those things are there, if it's purple, I'll dab it. I have no problem with it, as long as there's nothing being reintroduced into it. I saw something about
That's what I was gonna get into.
yeah.
Reintroduction.
Like the red hash. Have you guys seen that? What is it's like ketchup red rosin? What is that? Like, why is it like that?
That's what I was gonna get into, and I've got a lot of opinions, and I've got an opinion on this, and if people disagree, that's fine. But I think that this colored rosin thing is a road nobody should be going down. Nobody should be advertising. I think that there's methods of doing it that are totally safe and cool, but my fear is that in this current world, that down the line, Joe Schmo in wherever is going to start just randomly putting food coloring in whatever bulk rosin he's buying and potentially be really harming people, And I don't quote me on this, but I believe from what I've seen, there's no benefit in burning the anthracite. Ingesting it in other means, yes, but combusting it, I believe, might only have a negative effect. So the whole reintroducing stuff to give it color to me is just a gimmicky sales ploy, So I don't like it. I'm not going to do it. I'll stay away from it. If something presses naturally purple, that's why I was asking about the whitethorn rose, because I haven't been at those rosin tables. I don't think I've seen it in rosin form. I've only seen it in loose hash that was from dry material even, I think. I don't even think it was fresh frozen. But most purple hash that I've seen personally has pressed normal color. I have seen once or twice naturally occurring purple rosin, and it smoked horribly, like ultra bad. It looked really cool, but it didn't smoke well at all.
Yeah.
That anthracite is gross.
Our purple hash has always pressed like in a normal, like almost kind of like that, like sandy, like tan color, like, when it's real purple out of the wash, which is really pretty. It's like pearlescent kind of white hash when it cures up, but it never presses purple. And that kind of screams like a contaminant to me, just I can't really speak on it. Because I've never made purple rosin, but it just, for it to be getting through your bags into your hash would indicate to me that it's probably something you wouldn't want going through the screen. But again, I don't have much of an opinion.
Yeah, I mean that's what, and I guess maybe my opinion's being formed too early, and I don't have enough information. But that's what I would agree. That's what I would think as well. You know what I'm saying?
I don't want people to throw tomatoes at us on the.
Yeah.
But
Go
yeah,
ahead, throw tomatoes. I don't give a shit.
We were in LA for the Sonics Free Seed Day and met some really sweet growers. I think they come from Arizona for the event, but they brought some really beautiful jars of purple dry sift.
Yeah.
That's cool.
Had
I
some
could see that.
to it. I believe that it came off some autoflower plants even.
It was some purple autos that they've done. They even showed us this. Weren't the seeds purple too? Weren't those? Yeah, it was like really purple. It was so rad. Yeah, that was
we smoked a little bit of it. Yeah, it tasted great. But I was just impressed on the color. Have you ran across any purple dry sift in your sifting time?
I haven't seen any. I've seen pictures of some, but I haven't put anything across the screens that's been purple yet. Some stuff that like on some of the upper screens looks purple, but it's all just contaminant, you know.
Yeah.
And then by the time you clean it, it's normal color.
Yeah.
But I definitely have seen pictures of some like pretty darn clean purple bricks and stuff like that. That definitely is not all contaminant, giving it the color.
Somebody on Instagram asks, "What y'all think of those white rocks? Premature or not?"
Those what? You were breaking up.
You broke up on that.
People are asking, "What do you guys think of white rosin? Premature or not?" We're about to get into premature rosin. What are you guys' advice for people on harvesting times and getting that fresh frozen in at the right time?
There is a lot of prematurely harvested rosin out there that was harvested for the intention of color, but that's also really strain dependent. Like there are just certain phenos like some, like I was saying earlier, will wash almost like a pearlescent white. Others will be really heavy on a yellow color. Like the banana OG that we used to do it was fluorescent yellow. Yeah, like even without any filters or anything, it just had that yellow color. I've seen kind of like kind of like a rosish, not purple, but like peach-ish, like tan color rosin. There's just so many variations of hash and color that are just solely based off of genetics. But there is definitely the sinister vibe of people that will harvest early, to avoid getting a more amber color to their hash, because for some reason hash is more marketable if it's not amber, which I don't understand, because some of my favorite hashes have actually been on the darker spectrum of color. But we're still learning, I guess, with the hash thing. We're always figuring it out.
Yeah. Yeah. What was the question again?
That's
Early hash, white. Sorry. I just sometimes that happens when you smoke as much weed as I do.
that's a good sign. It's a
It
good
means the
sign.
weed's good.
Yeah.
I very highly dislike early harvesters.
Yeah, me
Is that
too.
a nice way of putting it? Uh,
Agreed.
I think that hash is supposed to have color. It's supposed to have variations in color. Like that's what makes it special. That's what makes it unique.
Yes.
I have, and it's strain dependent. There are a few things that I've worked with that just naturally have come out very, I wouldn't say white, but very light colored. Um, Other than that, I would confidently say I've never washed anything that wasn't pulled early that came out white. You
Yeah.
know,
Right. Not
so
white.
it, to me, it definitely is like, and there's always the possibility it's the strain, but usually it's just like it was pulled early, and to me, that's one of the like worst things you can do for hash. Like,
Yeah.
let it mature. We want to know what it is. Let her express herself, And if it doesn't make, if you can't take it the distance and it isn't a color that's marketable, then it's just not a very good hash strain. Maybe it should be used for something else.
Totally. And yeah, like always go based off of what those trichome heads look like under your loop or your microscope. Like you want that middle ground of like not super amber, not super clear, but that like, happy in between. It's like that sweet spot. That's what makes the fire hash. is a little, you know, it's like a ripe fruit. You pick it too early, like I don't want to eat a early peach. That's the
Yeah.
worst.
Plus, then you get the effect, and you know, I know I've heard people in recent years, you know, basically allude that they smoke for the flavor more than the high, and like I don't know, I'm old school. Like I'm here, you know, we grew up on Mexican brickweed, so like I'm here to get stoned. Like that's the end goal for me. I obviously I want it to taste good, but like I can accept losing some flavor to really add some punch. But what I found with most strains is taking them the distance, you just end up with a better and more complex flavor and a better high. And one of the big feedbacks that I get from people that end up buying my hash is that it has a really strong effect. And that's because we take everything the distance. Sometimes we take it longer than most people do. You know, most 60-day strains I'll take to like 65, 70 days. And still comes out a nice color, you know, but it packs a punch.
It's ripe. Yeah, that ripe fruit. It's yeah, I definitely couldn't agree more. Early hash sucks. It tastes like celery or like
Yeah,
celery
cucumber.
water.
Yeah, it doesn't make sense. They were honestly trying to get us to do that with our hemp crop. You know, they want you to pull it so it doesn't get hot at a certain point. I'm really thankful for the CBG. Really hard. Can you hear me? Is that thing getting weird?
I'm muting you guys. I think we're getting a little feedback from each other.
Oh, the CBG, it's hard for it really can't test hot for THC. So it's really nice being able to let it fully ripen. And so it's like, and then last year we did some R&D. So I knew when to be able to let the CBD ripen to its fullest, which we just took today. And so, yeah, it's kind of interesting because they're like, oh, test early. Make sure it's like cut early. I'm really not into it because the medicine is there when it's ripe. That real medicine is when all that's in the trichome head and it's turning its beautiful amber color. So yeah, we're very much into letting things ripen. I like to see the colors. Like, tangies. I love tangies, like orange strains. And I noticed every time I washed an orange strain, it's like a little orange to it. I thought that was really cool. It was one of the first strains I ever washed, and I got to see all these different colors. And yeah, there's a little color therapy there for us. And it just kind of brings out the terpenes. It's like the terpenes or something have that color. So yeah, it's rad.
Todd, you've done a really good job the last couple of years educating people on jar testing, we would call it. Test washes just with a little jar and some ice. When are you doing that? Are you doing that right when you think things are at peak ripeness? Are you doing that a little before? Are you doing that over a 10-day or a 2-week period? And then I want to hear from Lauren if that's something you guys do. We're certainly going to be jar testing a bunch of seed plant phenos, seeing if we can find some washers this year. Give us a little insight on that, Todd, and what people should be doing this fall and when they should be doing that.
Yeah, that's a good question. I personally, I will do it at least twice usually, and I'll do it about, I'm gonna guess I'm usually about 2 weeks before when we harvest. I'll do a jar test, and I feel like that usually gives me a pretty good idea. But there's some things that just because I didn't want to give up on them, I've tested closer to harvest, like a day before or 2 days before, and had quite different results. So I'm gonna try to be in the practice of still doing it twice because I don't know, I just like to see visually see that kind of stuff. So it's just kind of for my own excitement, but definitely I think the closest to harvest you can do it the best. But it's like sometimes doing like these big pheno hunts and stuff, it's really hard to do everything perfectly timed. So definitely if you can get it within a week, do it within a week, I would say. And
just one last thing on that early harvest, man. If you're 10 days early, you just cut yourself out of a whole lot of weight. A lot. Like a lot. So yeah, I think testing is key too. So test.
You guys are talking about the mason jar tests, like test washing. Oh yeah, totally.
Yeah.
We doing it twice for sure because it is really different. Like you might get a totally different answer if you wait like till that full maturity, and those heads have reached like their full maturity as well. But yeah, we definitely we like to do them, but we don't rely on them. Just because of you know, we've had things that don't necessarily do very well on the test wash, but still end up washing okay. And again, like it's all about that like day and that sweet spot. So like, yeah, I personally like them, but John and I have this conversation quite often. I wish I could bring him on actually, because this is like something that he's put a lot of thought and time and effort into kind of ironing out. He's more experimental than I am. Definitely. Oh, I'm sorry. I have dogs fighting under you. No, you guys, no. Sorry, guys. My dogs are crazy. I have farm dogs, but not enough land for them. But anyway, yeah. That's about all I got on that.
Trying to join, but he was asking how to get on, but we might be getting.
Yeah, I think we're getting to the
Yeah.
end of our party here. Alex said he was trying to join but wasn't able to get on.
Oh, I'm gonna reheat my dab. Let me mute you guys.
But yeah, we're gonna have you guys out here a week from tomorrow. We're coming to the end of our show. We're gonna wrap it up here shortly. But yeah, everybody want to come out and hang with some real hash makers, have some dinner. It's always a pleasure chatting with you guys and getting some hash makers together that haven't talked before. Some good conversation always comes out of it, and we're always learning lots. And man, we love it. There's always so much more to learn. Yeah, so a week from tomorrow, September 21st, Saturday, 4 o'clock to 11 o'clock, we're welcoming the community out here to our farm for the next Regen Sesh. We're going to have seed swap, live music. We've got rocker tea playing deep into the night, 20 plus vendors, all kinds of goodies from all your favorite farmers and hash makers to your favorite mushroom growers. It's going to be a really good time. Family friendly private party. Bring out the kiddos. We got a big playground here. Going to be lots of mamas and kiddos hanging out. Yeah, hookah hash sesh. We're going to do a farm tour. You guys can see our hemp garden as we start to continue our harvest. We've got one row down so far, but lots of beautiful hemp still in the garden. You can see our hoogles. We'll show you our stinky ferments, teach you how we close all these loops here on the farm. And yeah, we're super excited about it. Yeah, visit our food forest, eat some fruit right off the trees. And yeah, and you can get this very special dinner ticket to this 5-course hash pairing dinner with Todd and Lauren and Wook Sauce and Kenjana and our friends at Bliss Out. And yeah, unfortunately, the rest of the gang couldn't join us tonight. We know our buddy Kenjana's got a brand new baby at home, less than a month old. So we're really stoked he's going to be able to join us. And, yeah, we just have a really stacked lineup of a bunch of our friends are going to be here that night. So you can come out and attend the event for just $20, or you can get that dinner ticket for $300 and come out and have dinner and camp.
And that dinner is going to be really good. It's going to be epic. We have Kristen from Magic Meadows Farm bringing her cannabis fed pork, and she gave us a list of different cuts. And so her and Alex are talking, and our chef, and figuring out which special cut to do for the dinner. And then we have, like I said, 5 different courses all happening from food and herbs and fruits in our garden mainly, and then from our local community around us. And so we're really excited to showcase all of our beautiful foods and just celebrate the autumn equinox with everyone. It's the time of the year. It's the first harvest, and it's a time to celebrate. We're all going also into harvest with our cannabis, and a time to celebrate abundance and community. And so we're excited. The dinner, like I said, it's going to have the different 5 courses with all the foods from here. And then I believe the farm tour is first. If you're coming for the dinner, I get to go on the farm tour. Then you'll have the dinner, and then afterwards, you're able to go over, and we'll be announcing the winners for the flour and hash competition. And then we'll move right into dancing the night away with rocker tea. So it's going to be a really good night. Even if you want to come out just for the day for the Regen Sesh or come for the dinner, it's going to be a good time.
Going to be a lot of fun. Yeah,
I'm
we're
excited
super
for the
excited to
food.
welcome you guys.
Can't
Lauren,
wait.
why don't you tell us what you got coming up other than this dinner? Where can people reach you guys? How best can people support you guys? You guys are going to be out here vending as well, so they can come and meet you guys in person. But yeah, how best can people hit you up and support you right now?
Hit us up on Instagram. Our main account got taken down 2 weeks ago. I feel like there's a mass exodus of hash brands like over the past month. This like keeps happening. That's a story for another day. Just Instagram and the whole like, why do we use this medium for cannabis? Because they don't like us. But anyway, that's again a story for another day. Yeah. So find us on Instagram. We're Dream State Solventless 2.0. And you can just, yeah, give us a follow, show us some love, and come out on the 21st and hang with us and do some dabs and eat some really, really, really heady, amazing food. Alex and his sous chef Tyler, oh my goodness, they were right next to us at CannaFest this week, and their waffles. It was kind of perfect that they were like right there because people were just like getting waffles and then coming over and doing dabs. It was like so symbiotic. Nope. Sorry.
You guys were right by the Dab Pairing Bar, and it was amazing. We probably ate 3 or 4 waffles all weekend just pairing them with dabs, and yeah,
Yeah,
really,
so
really
good.
fun experience. Yeah, super excited to have you, Lauren and John, and
Guys.
the
Thank you
folks.
guys.
So yeah, come on out and hang with those guys, y'all. And how about you, Todd? How best can people reach you, support you? What do you got coming up? And come on and hang with Todd on the 21st over here at the farm. You're muted, Todd.
You can't reach me. No, I'm just kidding. You can follow me on Instagram at resin_ranch_extraction. And my backup count is at Resin Ranch 2.0. And yes, I will be out at the dinner. I will be camping, and I think I'll probably be vending. I happen to come into just a little bit of my own product that I can bring with. So yeah, come hang out with us. It's always a good time. I'm looking forward to hanging out and camping with everybody and eating this dinner.
Yeah.
Thank you.
What's up? That's what it's about. We got a beautiful campground here. Anybody coming and attending the dinner, for free and join us and spend some time with the legacy community. These are the real folks, really in it, still doing it, still at it.
Yes.
And yeah, we're honored to get to know you guys and to get to have these gatherings with you guys. It's awesome. We love our little cannabis community, and it's alive and it's on, might be on life support, but it's still got as much passion and we're having as much fun as ever. And yeah, we just love you guys. Love everybody out there who's
Likewise.
watching and supporting us out there and coming to the events. And yeah, please come out. You got to DM me or Tamara or Thrive Homestead directly for some tickets. We try to keep this a real private event, make sure that it's nice and safe for everybody, and that we all have a really good time. So there's other big corporate cannabis events happening that same weekend. People can go have that experience. You know, that's cool. It is what it is. You know, we've got friends that are in the rec market still holding it down. They need your support too. But our event happens a little later in the day. So come on out and meet some real farmers and some real hash makers directly, and burn a few and feel that love.
And we've got such an amazing goodie bag too for the ones that come for the dinner. It's really amazing. We've got a hash full from our friends over at Golden Chirp, And then I know we've also got one of their also superfood drinks in there. And Heal Thyself Gardens is going to be putting some pain relief salve in there. And there's a few other things too. So there's some really nice goodie bag to grab. So.
Hey, we would love to add some terp strips to that if you'd like them. Sorry, I'm very stoned and my words are not working anymore.
We love those
Man,
terp
I
strips.
love those things. Heck yeah.
Yeah,
Awesome. Yeah, we have 200 milligrams we'll add. So, yeah.
Boy, here we go.
It'll help us sleep when we're all camping. On your
So come get some of those dinner tickets.
Yeah, awesome. Well, right on, you guys. Thanks, you guys, for making time to join us tonight. And yeah, everybody hit us up for those tickets. We love you all. Much love to your other halves. And we will talk to you guys next weekend. See you all next weekend out here at Thrive.
Yeah, see y'all.
All right. Much love, y'all. Have a good night.